Hi guys, my name is Vic. I'm a senior counselor. I've been in the counseling field for over 21 years. My background is in both psychology and counseling. I'm also an associate faculty at various institutions in Singapore. So I'm going to touch briefly today because I'm put on a time limit. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of mental health. What is mental illness? Understanding both body and mind. Talk a little bit about fatigue, go slightly more into mental health issues and mental illness. I will not talk about things happening in Singapore right now, and I will touch briefly on each of my slides. So I want to put some pondering questions across. One of the things is, why do we talk about our physical health quite easily? We talk to friends about physical health. We show our war scars, when we went for surgery, or a knee surgery. But when it comes to mental health, everyone is quiet about it. Mental health and physical health, are actually interconnected. Yeah, they are part of us as one whole person. But why do we stress so much on physical health and talk about it, but we don't want to talk about mental health, which is also very important? And why do we go to the internet and we search for so many things, information, resources, ordering food, contacts, even for seeing doctors, physical health? But when it comes to mental health, everyone asks me this question: where do I go for my mental health issue? Or is there a counselor I can find for my friend, or a psychologist or a psychiatrist? So, there are so many resources in the internet in your local area, whether it's psychologists, counselors. It's about going or connecting. And I'll show you some links in Singapore that you could go to find out more about mental health issues, or refer someone who may need mental health help. And why do we see mental health as something separate from physical health? The thing is, mental health and physical health, they're interconnected. Physical health, when it's not good, it affects mental health. Mental health, when it's not good, it affects physical health. So why do we see it as two separate entities? Imagine your mental health is like a car engine, yeah? And your physical health is like other parts of the car. And if I go to a car mechanic and say, let's just talk about the car exhaust system and a bit of the spark plugs, and let's talk a little bit about the windows, and let's not talk about the engine. Yeah, but the engine and the windows and all the other parts are also connected to the car, and some of these parts will affect each other. Yeah, so again, you need to understand, you cannot see it as two separate entities. Both will affect each other. And when your mental health is not good, or when someone has mental illness, it affects various domains in your brain. The way you think about things can be very extreme, very negative. The way you perceive things can be very distorted in some cases. Your emotions can be very heightened, exaggerated. And our body has a lot of signals being sent. Even my fingers moving, the signals from my brain has to send to a spinal cord and goes to other parts of the body. How we perceive, our moods, our movements, how we react to danger, everything is controlled by these signals and chemicals in our body. Physically, when we are unwell mentally, it also affects us physically. We get drained, fatigue, and it also affects our actions and behavior. So I want to tell you that all these are interconnected and they are one person. Physical health, mental health, your diet, how you eat, your environment, all play a part. When there are a lot of stresses in the environment, especially now with COVID-19, that also affects your mental health. It affects your physical health as well. And also your diet. Nowadays people are ordering food quite fast, and there are a lot of restrictions. So all these are interconnected. And if we don't find ways to deal with our mental health in a positive way, then we tend to form relationship with unhealthy things. Could be alcohol, drugs, could be some other unhealthy activity, could be the internet in a very extreme way. So we need to be careful about this. Yeah. Definition of what is mental health: a state of or just health, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of a disease. Yeah. So we also have to know that sometimes mental health, you may not see someone feeling down, or they may be going through stresses and they may internalize things, but in front, they may put up a front. And sometimes it's hard to tell. Unlike physical health, sometimes you could see physical iteration or some cut or some major issue, but with mental health, it's a bit harder. And sometimes people put up a front, because they don't want you to see some of the difficulties they're going through. And definition of mental health in general: a state of well-being where the person realizes his or own potential. Yeah, you're healthy, you know your potentials, You can deal with normal stresses in society. You can work in a very productive way, and in the things you do, you're very fruitful at it. And it's also, you also contribute to the bigger ecosystem and the community. And other key markers to tell you that you're mentally healthy are things like adaptability. When our environment, there are a lot of changes that happen, we learn to adjust to the environment. And we know our strengths, weaknesses, our importance, how we fit into the bigger ecosystem and community. We accept love and give love. We have a sense of security. We connect with people who we are close to or significant others. We feel safe around them. And we make sound decisions or reasonably sound decisions or solve problems. And there's a lot of emotional maturity in the actions we take. We can tolerate some level of frustration. And there are a variety of interests we go into, and we have a balanced lifestyle, whether in work, rest, and recreation. Positive mental health also allows us to connect with others. We stay positive, even though sometimes that we face challenges, and also helping others besides ourselves, others who may have mental health issues or are going through difficulties. And sleep is also very important. Usually, if you don't sleep enough, that can affect your mental health, also your physical health. And we also have, develop healthy coping skills. Healthy coping skills, connecting with people we are close to, friends, family, significant others we can talk to about issues. Asking for advice on areas we find difficult to cope with. But when our coping strategies are not good or our mental health dips, we tend to connect with things that are very unhealthy, whether it's drugs, alcohol, gaming to the extreme, something that is not very healthy. While short term, it gives you some kind of escape or some place to numb yourself. Long term, some of these activities in extreme can become very unhealthy and cause problems to our mental health. Some of the factors that contribute to mental health issues, biological factors such as genes and brain chemistry. If we have family members who have mental health issues, addiction issues, or even serious mental health issues, very severe psychological issues, there is high risk for the kids to develop it. Life experiences such as trauma and abuse can affect our mental health. Family history of mental illness or mental health problems. Personality, each of us have very different personalities. The way we see things, the way we cope, is very different. The way we react to things may be very, very different. And so that is also taken into consideration how our mental health will get affected. Physical and chronic health issues, when we are generally healthy, things are okay. But when we're not healthy or we come to a point where we start having physical health problems, that can also contribute to affecting our mental health. And disabilities. There are some people who have mental disabilities or even physical disabilities, and they face challenges in society and judgment. And sometimes this is very difficult, and this can also affect our mental health. And lifespan of human development. As we get older, there are also challenges. When we are younger, there's challenges. And as we as we go through the lifespan, each stage of human development, there are also different challenges that we face. Peer pressure, friends. At the older stage, when we retire, sometimes, there's boredom or we have friends that we start losing down the line. When we are young, we don't think about that, and we don't think so much about, our mortality and, life philosophy. But as we get older down the line, at later stages of our life, all these topics start to pop up in the head. How long will I live? How healthy will I live? What will happen down the line? Who will take care of me? What happens if I have health problems? So these are things that can come up. And also caregivers also can suffer mental health issues. For example, burnouts, taking care of their loved ones. Sometimes, as a caregiver, you do your best, but sometimes there are also stresses when the person you're taking care of is not well. And also, even healthcare workers like me or my colleagues or even psychiatrists or counselors, even though we know a lot about mental health, it doesn't mean we don't get affected by our mental health issues when things start to dip or we face stresses. We are only human. And so we seek help from someone who can help us. Some of the things that can happen when you go into a burnout or when your mental health and helping caregivers, you really get drained. Your tendency, sometimes you want to be nice, you are overly available, you over-identify with the people you help, you go into a very sympathetic mode, and that's not helpful. Or you stretch yourself out too easily and you cannot commit, you cannot cope with it. even though you want to try to be nice and helpful, things in your life start to stagnate. You have certain discontentment about life, certain things stagnate in your life. You were looking forward to something, but it didn't happen. And other frustrations you may face while helping somebody else, or your own mental health issues can be because of frustration at work or frustration in other areas of your life. Apathy is when you totally disengage with people and become very cold. And this can also become very listless and depressed, and this is not good either. Dragging yourself at work and even avoiding colleagues or significant others who you are close to, and sometimes doing work or coming halfway through work, you say, I had it, I want to go back. Yeah. So these are things that can happen. It can happen to any of us. So I don't want you to see mental health as something bad, but we all have our ups and down periods. And that's something we need to know. When we did our down period, what can we do to help us? Yeah. And when we have our up period, that's good. But life also throws challenges at us. And with the COVID-19, like I said, there are even more challenges. Some things to do when you want to help someone who may have mental health problems or health issues in general, or even mental illness, is to read out mental illness or mental health issues. Go into the internet. Of course, go to reliable sources. Speak to your contacts who may know about people with mental health issue, or people who work in the mental health field, if you know anyone. Get help from other significant individuals who can help this individual with mental health issues, who they are close to. Hear out your loved ones. I mean, at the end of the day, we try our best to help our loved ones just to show that we care. Yeah, but we don't come up with premature solutions. We don't tell them, snap out of this, it's easy. We don't sugarcoat things. Yeah. So we try to be there with them. We try to empathize. This must be difficult for you. I may not fully be able to understand what you're going through, but I will just be there and give you the support how I know I can. Do not go into two extremes, get over involved with someone's issues, or just totally just shut off. That's not helpful either. So I'm going to play you a clip. What can happen when you go to two extremes, empathizing or sugarcoating things?
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Okay, and there are 10 practical ways to look after our mental health. Talk about feelings to significant others. I'm not saying go to everybody and talk about your mental health issues. Go to people you're comfortable talking about. Eating well, keeping in touch, take a break, accept your strengths and your challenge, your weaknesses, work with that, keep active, uh, drink sensibly, and don't overdrink alcohol. Ask for help when you need help from people who you feel comfortable asking, who you know will help you or be a good, they'll be a good support for you. Care for others, do the things that you like, healthy activities. I have another friend of mine who's also online today, and he does laughter therapy. And laughter therapy, his name is Ram, Santa Ram, and it's also try to find activities out there in the community that you could go to and get connected to. That, like I say, keeping yourself physically fit also contributes to your mental health. Keeping yourself, dealing with your mental health also contributes to your physical health. Yeah. And these are what we call the biopsychosocial issues, or mental health, good, bad, is affected also partly genetics. We all have different chemicals in our brain and part of our body, our neurotransmitters, and that when it goes out of whack can also cause instability and is linked to mental illness, disabilities, drug effects, our temperaments, our family relationship, things that we've been through, traumatizing events, peer influences, school, family, how we cope with things, social skills, and self-esteem. All these have links to how well we will deal with mental health issues, or whether we will, some situations our mental health may go down, some situations our mental health will be fine. Two people go into an accident, one comes out in the same accident, one comes out and better copes with it, the other doesn't. So again, sometimes situation, it depends how we view it and how we perceive it, how it affects us. So different people, certain situations can affect them differently. Some of the common signs that you will see with people with mental health issues are fatigue, shortness of breath, headaches, dizziness, disturbed sleep, difficulties concentrating, forgetfulness. And some of this doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a physical health condition to develop some of these symptoms. Other experiences that people might feel internally, and these are some warning signs just to look out for. I'm not saying that just because you have these warning signs, it's a problem. You feel helpless or hopeless, life has no meaning. You smoke a lot, you drink a lot, you use drugs a lot, more than usual. You feel unusually confused, not yourself, tend to forget a lot, edgy, angry, and these are very amplified things. And so these are things to take note of. You eat a lot or sleep a lot, you eat little or don't sleep much, you're pulling away from people or usual activities you were actively involved in, your low energy levels, feeling numb, having unexplained aches and pains, and it's got nothing to do with physical condition, experiencing mood swings, persistent thoughts and memories of things that are not so pleasant, that get into your head, hearing voices or believing things are not true, getting paranoid, thinking of harming yourself or others, and inability to perform a lot of the tasks, your daily tasks that you used to do quite easily. And these are worrying signs, and it's better to seek help early. Now, stress. We always say stress is a good and bad thing. Well, there's good stress, there's bad stress. Now, we call it eustress, which is good stress. It motivates you. In Olympics, all the Olympians will have some level of stress. In short term, it's good. It keeps you awake, keeps you excited, it keeps you focused. It helps you with your coping ability, makes you resilient. But sometimes in life, we have to cope with some level of stress. But bad stress and can cause anxiety, can short-term and long-term, can cause health problems. And sometimes we feel we cannot control things, and we harp on it, or we think so much about it. We feel this sense of helplessness, unpleasant feelings. It decreases our performance, and it can lead to a lot of other problems. One of the long-term effects, like I say, your mental health can lead to chronic fatigue, obesity, irritable bowel syndrome, or even loss of sex drive. And if that continues further, hypertension, chronic illnesses, hypertension, infertility, obesity, diabetes, and other autoimmune problems, breaking out in rashes and gastrointestinal problems, and even more. Some of these problems can become permanent.
I consider myself to be really independent and type A, so it was very difficult to stomach the idea that I was going to pay or use my health insurance for someone to help me with my problems.
I actually grew up in a household that was very anti-therapy. I always thought it was best if I could take care of myself.
I didn't think it would be worth my time. I thought it was going to be a big waste of money.
If I can't tell people that I know and love my problems, why would I tell a stranger my problems?
The first time I saw a therapist was actually when I was 15.
I had my first really big anxiety episode in 6th grade, and my parents made me go to therapy.
I was literally telling my school advisor all of the shit that was going on in my life. My school counselor walked me to my first therapy session, technically.
I had no idea what to expect. I was really, really nervous. I almost canceled.
I went to a therapist in high school that was very much like the ones that are portrayed in the media. I was sitting on a couch, she was sitting in a chair. I complained about things and she said, "How does that make you feel?"
Before I went in, I just thought, this is bullshit. This isn't gonna work. Who is this lady who's telling me what to do?
I was really scared and really super embarrassed, and I hated it.
I was telling my psychiatrist about all of the shitty things that have been going on in school. I was also very consciously picking my words carefully to kind of prove to her that I'm not like a mental case.
After he asked me a few questions and got me to open up a little bit, like so much emotion came out of me. And it was such a great feeling. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'll always remember that feeling of like the burden lifting.
After we finished, we scheduled our next session. And it was one of those moments where I realized that I had a lot more to share and talk about than I thought.
I went to about 2 or 3 therapists and did those little introductory sessions, and then I found someone where I was like, I understand this person can understand me.
Therapy is kind of like school, and you go and you learn, and when you graduate, it's the best feeling because you now like have tools to be a better person. And you'll always cry for some reason.
Okay, now this was a mental health study done in 2010. And what they found, the 3 main mental health issues that were brought up in Singapore: alcohol abuse, 1 in 32, major depressive disorder, which is severe depression, 1 in 17, obsessive compulsive disorder, what we call OCD, 1 in 33. Now, out of this, it took 13 years for some of them to approach a psychiatrist or mental health professional for the alcohol issues, 9 years for OCD, and 5 years for severe depression. 22.1% went to psychiatrists, 21.6% went to a counselor, 18% went to their general practitioner, and 12% went to their spiritual leader. Now, again, we are constantly training community leaders, and there are a lot of social service agencies that offer counseling. So this was a big study that was done. And these are some childhood mental health disorders that can happen, ADHD and general anxiety disorder. In adolescents, these are some of the other mental health issues. So mental illness. Now, mental illness is very severe, and it can go into a disorder. And in some cases, you would need the help of a psychiatrist for medication. In other cases, you don't. It can severely affect your thinking, your memory, your perception, your speech. And it's a serious form of your mental health, deteriorating to a point where it becomes a disorder. Some things about mental illness, the symptoms of mental illness has to link with brain functioning. It's a brain disorder. It rarely is caused by stress. And these are myths. It's not a consequence of poor parenting or bad behavior. It's got nothing to do with personal weakness or deficit. Just because people have mental illness doesn't mean they have deficit. And mental illness is treatable. Only exceptional cases, it's linked to nutritional deficiencies. These are some of the other things. Mental health doesn't discriminate. It is, for some people, it can be severe and persistent. And it does not discriminate against boundary, race, class, or geography. It can be anyone, even from high society to someone who is a cleaner. A majority of people who have friends, family members, and significant others, if you look at your circle or your ecosystem, your personal ecosystem, you will see somebody who might have mental health issues or even mental illness. 1 in 4 people experience mental health problems in their lifetime. 300 people per 1,000 people have mental health problems. And these, coming early for help helps. There are a lot of rehabilitation services. In some cases, involve group therapy, where others are in the same position as this individual and they help each other. There's individual therapy, mental health education. There's also newer drugs that can help with lesser side effects, and also other aftercare services in the community. No single treatment fits all for mental treatment, mental health treatment, or mental illness. It's a holistic intervention. You cannot send someone to just a counselor or a psychiatrist or one individual to sort out your mental health issues. It takes a whole village to come together to help the individual. Yeah, medications, counseling, long-term recovery plans, and the individual also has to take responsibility for their own mental health to reach out and work with others. Some of the things they can do, talking about it to people they trust, exercising, trying meditation and other forms of therapy out there, learning new skills to learn to cope, new ways of healthy ways of coping, relating to others a different way, contributing to society, going into your creative arts, and there's so many other things you can do to help with your mental health well-being. This we call it the pressure cooker model, and in the pressure cooker model, there are a few things to take note of. One of the things is not having rigid thinking, being flexible to be open to other people's ideas. When you have rigid thinking, that can affect your mental health. Having outlets to distress. If you don't have outlets to distress, that can affect your mental health in a negative way. And sometimes we have a lot of things built up, unloading some of them to people we trust, or seeking help with a counselor or mental health professional. And not ruminating on negative thoughts and letting it build up to a point where it overwhelms us. If you have a tight lid, you don't have a steam outlet, all those things pile up and you have a big flame, it's going to explode. And I like this quotation by Malcolm X. When illness is replaced, you take out the I in illness and you replace it with we, wellness, and it leads to wellness. Sorry, you take the I out of illness and replace it with we, the community, to help the individual, it leads to wellness. There are things within our control and there are things not within our control. And this is something we have to slowly learn how to deal with things within our control. Things that are not within our control, we try to also seek help from others who may be able to help us. But that's life. We have to learn there are going to be certain challenges. And through challenges, we also become successful. And through difficulties, we also become stronger. Some providing a listening ear, helping the individual seek help with mental health issues, normalizing that mental health issues can happen to anyone. Even mental illness can affect anyone. Not ignoring the issue or not pretending you didn't hear it or see it, out of sight, out of mind. Building relationships, especially with your kids, taking interest in the things that your kids do. So, especially with kids nowadays, you really have to spend time with them, take time out of your busy schedule to know what they're doing, getting them the necessary help if they do show issues of mental health issues, being supportive to them. When there are problems, you need to be open that they will come to you. But if you create that barrier, they won't come to you, they'll go to their friends. Or they'll get information from unlikely people, and that's something you don't want. And there are a lot of counseling services in Singapore, family service centers, there are social service agencies that offer counseling. There are private psychiatrists and psychologists. There's the Institute of Mental Health. Even if some individuals don't want to go to the Institute of Mental Health, there's other services out there. These are some of the associations you can approach for mental health issues. And these are some of the helplines that are available. You can find this all in the internet. Please encourage someone who may have mental health issues to touch on this helpline for help. And these are other services as well as mental issues. With the COVID-19, I'm not going to directly comment with the COVID-19, but with the COVID-19 situation, mental health issues have gotten worse because the environment, things have changed. Some people have lost jobs. People are facing a lot of challenges now, and it's not easy because that's also impacting their physical health. Their physical health also impacting their mental health. So I want to say thank you and I will hand it back to Rebecca and open to any questions.
Hey Vic, thanks for those insightful presentation. Now is an exciting moment for everyone, or for those who has burning questions for Vic over here. All right. I mean, feel free to, switch on your camera and your microphone if you wish to use that mode as to communicate your questions to Vic, or you can just, type in the chat if you want to stay anonymous and not showing your face when asking those questions. You can leave it in the chat box over here. All right. Feel free
I'll try my best to answer your questions.
All right. So while we are waiting for the rest to, key in their questions in the chat box, let me kickstart with the, Q&A session first. So Vic, you did mention that as a counselor, sometimes you do, take into account of, or rather bring home the emotions that your clients give you, or people who actually seek for your advices. So their problems, you bring it home as your problems as well. So how do you solve that?
I think the thing is, that's why we don't sympathize. We try to empathize our clients. As we get more experience in this field, we learn to draw professional boundaries. And I think that's important. And all of us, even healthcare workers or even those who are in the mental health profession, we also need our mental health, and we need to de-stress. And we leave our work at our workplace. We don't bring it home, that it affects our family. So we have learned also to keep a balanced lifestyle the best we can. But even as, like I say, healthcare workers or mental health professionals, there are times also we go through our down periods. There are times also we go through our challenges. We are only human. Yeah. So we will sometimes seek a mentor, or we will seek somebody else who can help us with our mental health. And there's nothing wrong with it, because, hey, in some countries, seeing your mental health professional is a cool thing. You don't necessarily have to have mental illness to see a therapist. Just having mental health issues and it's dipping a bit, it's very difficult, you can still see a counselor, or you can, if it's more serious, seeking a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But again, like I say, medications by itself is not enough. It has to be complemented by counseling and other activities. So it's a whole lot of things that need to come together to help one in their mental health. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we are having, a lot of questions coming in. Okay, the first one will be Diana or Diane. All right. I've been supporting a close friend who has been receptive to my suggestion to see a therapist. After 4 sessions, they have not been able to prove on them root cause yet. The childhood impact on his current outlook. How can I support to bring this forward?
Okay, so they're trying to help someone, I guess, who has some issues, mental health issues. Again, like I say, we do our best for people that we know or significant others to encourage them to seek help. Again, sometimes, is there anyone they will listen to within the family, or any other significant other they are more open to listen to? We may not fully be able to empathize what they're going through, but we try to give a listening ear, and we try to just be there for them. And we try to say that it's normal for us to go through down periods, or even face serious mental health issues. The thing is to get the help early and to sort it out the best we can. And you're not alone in it. You have, that support from yourself and other significant people around this individual. I hope that answers the question.
All right. So we have another one that, privately sent to me. I assume she wants to stay anonymous, so I won't, say her name out. It was mentioned that mental health is not due to bad parenting. However, there are instances of child abuse which can bring about unhappiness in childhood and potentially leading to mental health issue in the child. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, if the individual or the child lives in an environment where there's a lot of abuse, there is a lot of stresses, a child is supposed to be protected. And I'm not saying that when I use the word parenting, we are not perfect parents. Yeah, there's sometimes we have to discipline our kids, we have to do it, and we have to regulate it in a healthy way. Not going to extremes. But sometimes, disciplining or parenting can go to its extremes. Putting unnecessary pressure on the kid, using forms of violence that are not healthy, using threats, and this can affect the child. This is not healthy, and over time, this can lead to serious mental health issues, and in some cases can contribute to some level of depression, anxiety, and it can even get worse. It can even lead to mental illness in some cases. Yeah.
All right, we have another question, and I really like this question. What are some empathetic statements to say if you're unsure what to say, or how to react if someone shares something with you? Because I myself experienced that as well.
When someone shares something with you, thank you for sharing that. It took a lot of courage to share what you just shared with me. I know it must have been difficult. I want to see what I can do to help you. Can I, maybe can I offer you some resources I read up that could be helpful. Other than that, I just sit with them and just let them talk it out. Tell them, do you have any ideas? What are you going to do next? Would it be okay if I offer you some suggestions? Yeah, like I say, it took a lot of courage to share what you just shared. And it's not easy. It's all of us go through our ups and downs. I may not fully be able to empathize what you're going through, but after listening to you, I want to see what I can do to help, and maybe connect you with someone who will be able to better help you. Would that be okay? So again, these are some of the things I use to engage someone. If not, just listen. And when the person is ready, even leave some information that the person could read later that could be helpful. And when they're ready, they can go and seek help. When they're not ready yet, I don't want to push them too much. So we play by ear, see how things go.
All right, we have a couple more private messages or rather questions. What is Mr. Vic's recommendation for treating bipolar of a young adult?
Bipolar disorder is, we call it a mood disorder. They can go to two polars. Some people they can go very happy, elated, and then they can swing into depression. There are bipolar. There is bipolar 1, bipolar 2. I would say if somebody does have bipolar disorder, or there is some inkling that their moods keep on swinging on a constant basis in a short period of time, to seek help with a psychiatrist. In some cases, seeing a psychiatrist to get yourself assessed, or a clinical psychologist to get yourself assessed. In some cases of bipolar, they may need medication. It depends. There are these mood disorders also, there are some that medication will be needed, there are others you don't. So again, in this case where there's something severe, you're not too sure, the first protocol will be a psychiatrist, whether private or whether in IMH or in a psychiatrist who's in the community.
All right. We have another one, also would like to stay anonymous. My teenager girl is feeling very stressed, but she does not wish to share with us. And I'm seeking counseling for her, but how do I get her to share with the counselor voluntarily? She seemed to be rejecting my suggestion to see a counselor.
I think it's like I said, we try to find whether there's anybody else she will listen to, within the family. If there isn't, also just sitting down and going out with her and just having a casual chat, just finding out what's bothering her. Sometimes just spending time for a while without pushing the topic, she might open up. And we always tell our kids we are here for them. We tell our kids, sometimes you may tell me things, I may be upset, but my job is I want to protect you. I care for you. I love you. But I'm also, sometimes I may ask questions that may make you feel uncomfortable. But that's being your parent. I want to see what I can do to help you. And when you are down, when you're affected, it also affects me. So I want, if they are ready to see a counselor or psychologist, or even a therapist in a family service center, where you can see, can we see a mental health professional together? I will be there. I'll give you the support. We'll go together. Would that be okay? If you are not comfortable going by yourself, I will come as well. So showing the support, taking interest in the things they do, finding out a little bit about themselves, going out with them, spending time, just listening to what they have to tell you. You need to be open to listen to the communication, not too fast to judge, not too fast to jump on things. Because if you jump on things and you lose your temper quite easily, and like I say, once you don't have that connection, it'll be difficult. And a lot of time we try to build that connection earlier when they are before they are teens. It will be better. We don't wait until things get so bad, then we try to build a relationship. So I think it's important now that when things are okay, continue to build the relationship. And sometimes some things take time. When the teen or the kid feel they're comfortable, then they might tell you some things. Yeah, we do our best. In extreme cases, we may have to refer them to the emergency room, for example, in IMH, if they're going to really severe mental health issues, threatened suicide or some other issue. But if there are some mental health issues and down, we just talk to them and try to find out what exactly is going on, and as best we can, and do it in a less formal setting, maybe over, taking them out to a less threatening place, maybe having a meal or having, even in the car, if you drive, talking to them in the car, that sometimes can be helpful as well.
All right, we have another one from Shamini. I believe mental health issue is also contributed by environmental factors. How do we then use coping skills to address mental health issues since we need to return back to the same environment daily?
I think sometimes when you are in an environment can be outside, or it can be even your office environment or something very toxic. I think one of the things you need to see is, who can I talk to about this? Who will not judge me? Yeah. If I cannot find them within my the place I'm in, or who are other people I'll feel comfortable with. And sometimes, like I say, if you can seek help from a mental health professional, that's also fine. But if you don't want to seek help right now from a mental health professional, you think it's not that bad, is there significant friends you have? Is there other support systems you have? If are there other outlets you have to de-stress? Yeah. Some people even go online. They go in online chats. There are a lot of online mental health chats as well that you can go on to talk about things. Some can call the helplines. Yeah, that you can engage these helplines. Earlier, I put the slide on the mental health helplines, and you can find them in the internet. If you're in Singapore, those were the mental health helplines you can link to. So, we try to find other activities. We try to talk to friends. We try to connect with friends. We try to get ourselves out there. And sometimes our environment, we have to decide. That environment keeps on putting a lot of pressure. Then we have to see whether we have, instead of running away from it, we have to decide whether, for example, the office environment and the toxicity is always there constantly. And after trying to resolve things, or even getting an in-between mediator to resolve things, and things are not resolved, then we have to decide whether to leave the environment or change a job altogether, or do something different. Yeah. So there are decisions. So again, sometimes, like I say, our environment, some things are within our control, some things are not. Or we learn to relate to our environment in a different way. Just say there are a lot of stressors, and we learn to put certain things as priority, other things not so much as priority. We learn to adapt to our environment in a way that we, certain things we don't get worked up over. We learn that certain things we can't control, we keep aside. Things that we can control, we focus on. So even that also can be helpful in some cases. How we look at things in our environment in a different way.
Interesting. All right. Okay, we have a very lengthy one.
Oh my.
Going to do a storytelling here. Okay, Harvey, I want to ask about toxic positivity because it's very relevant right now in the field of keeping mental health well-being. It was presented during the webinar that in order for us to fight any sort of mental issues is to talk and ask advice to your friends or family members. However, some people give advice that invalidates your feelings or your emotions without their knowledge. So what are the limitations that we need to consider in giving advices to people who suffer with mental health issues to avoid invalidating their feelings and emotions that may seem toxic?
I think just now I showed you the clip about, I think it looked like a deer, and the deer was sugarcoating things. I think we shouldn't sugarcoat things to our loved ones or significant others who are friends, to say at least it's not as bad as this. Or we tell them, I'm here. I'm trying to understand what you must be going through. It must be very difficult for you. Yeah. At least you're here. You talk to me about it, and I'm thankful you came to approach me. Can I look up things that could be helpful for you, and then I could pass it to you, and then you can check it out whether these are some options you are willing to consider to seek help when you are ready. Yeah. All I can say is, when you need to talk, I'm here. I want to support you the best I can, and I hope that you will continue to engage me, and also see whether that individual, are there other people also in their circles, the person with the mental health issue, that they can engage as well. So can we bring this? And sometimes a group of friends coming together, not everyone is going to give you good advice. I'm not saying that they do it in bad intentions. They have good intentions, but some of your friends are going to be very direct, some are going to be blunt. So we take what we think is useful, we filter out the rest, yeah. And those things that are useful, we take that, and we don't take things personally. I mean, that some of our friends will say certain things, snap out of it, but they may care for you. They may just say, hey, you can't keep on being in this state, and when the individual is ready, they will move forward. So again, like I say, take the good things that you can take out of people who give you advice, and if you are the one giving advice, try not to give premature advices. Just offer them some places where they could seek help that could be more helpful for them. Yeah. So reading up about community resources that may have counselors. IMH, I know some people are scared, but I'm in the Institute of Mental Health now. We see a lot of people from the CEOs of companies. So we see all kinds of people, some with just stressors, some with serious mental illness, some with some mental health issues that need a little bit more professional interventions. So, if they are comfortable, IMH is one of the places. If they're not, then there are family service centers in the community. There are other community services out there that have counselors and psychologists. So again, go into your phone, look up certain useful resources. Those useful resources you could pass a friend. Hopefully down the line, encourage them. If you need be, I will follow you as well. Would that be okay to give you at least my support? Yeah, I think that's the best we can do. And when somebody is ready, they will move. When they're not ready, we just be there for them, when they need to talk about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's very insightful. Thanks, Rick. So I know that we are, tight with the timing, and then we still have some time for 2 more questions. So I will handpick randomly. Okay, I'll pick one from Atira. So how do we handle those who doesn't take seriously about others mental health condition, and they take it as a joke or seeking attention? For example, in the working environment, bosses who give stress and do not have the empathy and sympathy to the worker. Yeah.
I guess that's a very tough one. Sometimes you have bosses who may not be, or to be quite ignorant about such things, and I think it's going to be difficult trying to change the boss. In some cases, people do approach their HR, and some HR companies do have a talk about mental health to the whole office. Yeah, that's one way. I know that's a bit tricky there. Other times we will talk to other colleagues. Sometimes, if there is some boss who's insensitive, again, I will try to talk to the boss in a nicer way and say, boss, some of the things you tell me, it makes me feel this way. And I feel very down when you say certain things, and so I just want to be honest with you, and we can role play with someone before we talk to the boss in a nice way. But there will be sometimes bosses who can be insensitive about mental health issues, or who can brush it aside. We do our best to engage them, but if it gets very severe again, then we may have to get the help of HR, or maybe another boss or someone to mediate within the office. For issues that sort of get out of hand.
All right. Okay, we will take up one more question. So there's a new question coming in. Child, I grew up with parents who are very criticizing. No matter how many books I read to self-help, I can only save myself 50%. I don't need professional counseling, but just that by having a low self-esteem since young, stop me from living freely. It also gives me a weak foundation when facing in the world of stress and competition. How to build a strong and positive mindset?
How to build us? Well, again, sometimes this is a tough one. We can't choose our parents. Yeah, some of our parents, they are more sensitive to these things. Others, I mean, sometimes it's not that they don't love us, but sometimes they can be very critical, or we live in environments where they have a certain view, and it can come out in a very harsh way. Again, as we realize this, and this person has insight to realize it, can I hang around with people who are very positive, who could give me also that positive charge to talk to people. Some people do go into the internet and look up some of the psychologists, or they look up spiritual leaders, or they look up for people who give positive talks, and some people are into that. Some people go into other kinds of activities where that positivity is also encouraged. some activity where you can engage a group of people who have a positive mindset, who are very encouraging. There are some people who go into certain team building courses. So there are a lot of things you can do to sort of get that positivity out. I mentioned about one of my friends who goes into laughter therapy, and there's so many other interesting stuff in the community that you can look at that can help you with your positivity. There will be positive people in this world. There will be negative people in this world. You are responsible for your own mental health. You are also responsible to when there are things down, surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people who are not so toxic. Yeah. People who you stay closer to. We sometimes, like I say, can't choose our parents, but we can choose who we want to hang out with. We can choose some of the things we want to read, how certain negative news we want to block off. Yeah, I know a lot of things come through the internet, some of them positive, some of them negative. So also learning how to cut off certain things, or also learning how to regulate what you read on the internet or the news, and finding other ways to de-stress, finding, like say, positive people who talk about positive stuff, meditation. There are so many talks out there, and inspiring people. And I think sometimes some of the YouTube clips or some of those inspiring leaders also, there's something that they can contribute that can be helpful. Again, take what you can from what they say. Not everything they say will fit you, but take some of the stuff that they say that could be useful for you. And some people also do go to support groups that also encourage positivity. And if there are such support groups that helps with other like-minded people who are also looking for positivity. So that's another way also of dealing with things like this. Yeah. Again, I don't have fixed answers because there's so much I can say, but in this short period of time, I'm just trying to condense my answers and just try to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, your answers have been really insightful and helpful. I believe, I hope Vic has answered most of your questions, even though I know that I receive a lot of private messages that they wish to get their questions answered. So because due to time constraint, we try to stick it to 1 hour. And then if you have further questions, you can actually reach out to Vic over here. Let me share my screen. All right. So you can connect with Vic, to find out more about mental health by scanning this QR code and then, slide into his DM or just send him a message about your questions if he didn't get to, answer the questions that you have in the, in the chat box. All right. But if you wish to, find out more about anything related to this kind of events or causes from Xperinia, Ask Experts Anything, or even the female empowerment campaign, you can feel free to, reach out to me by scanning this QR code over here. All right. Or you can actually look at the chat box. I have actually dropped some, links to link to the various products or websites for further information. All right. So yeah, take a moment, maybe 5 seconds to screenshot this page so that you can save Vic's QR code and my QR code just in case you would like to reach out to us. 5, 4, 3, 2,
and thank you for having me here today. I'm sorry I couldn't answer all your questions, but I hope my short 30-minute slides helped you at least point you to the right direction. There's so much in mental health I could have spoken about, but due to lack of time, I hope my summary helps you. Yeah. And I thank you for listening to my slide. Again, some of it you may agree, some of it you may not agree. That's fine. All what is important is if you have mental health issues, try to find ways that you can seek help if necessary. It may not necessarily be a mental health professional, but somebody who your significant friends or family who are going to help you with that positivity and who's there for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more of this event. I'm pretty sure I will definitely invite Vic again to share more because today's session is pretty short. And of course, if you would like to check out other types of events, feel free to register for our upcoming event to talk about, whereby we have another expert, Max E, to talk about trends and challenges in supply chains in Asia. Yeah. Also, we will keep you guys updated, or you can actually follow Xperinia Facebook page for more updates or for the next sessions from Vic to talk about mental health. All right, I think that's all from my end. Do you have anything to say, Vic, to your audience.
No, just say thank you for coming today. And thank you for being the ambassadors out there to spread the mental health message. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everyone and have a good evening. Bye-bye.